Another edition of In the Pocket, all thanks to our friends at Palmerbet, of course. Gamble responsibly, but they do a magnificent job, the team at Palmerbet. Download the app, get involved. And when you talk about getting involved with the team at Palmerbet, this bloke's been on fire the last few weeks. And I'm speaking of Peter Spider Everett. Spide, how are you, big fella?
Oh, look, I'm a bit devastated, to be honest with you. When you pick 8 out of 9, and you get let down by the Suns against GWS, and when you've been on the GWS bandwagon and you get mixed up into all the hype about a new coach, it just devastates you. So outside of that, there were some cracking games of footy over the weekend. The final 8 is just magnificent. It just looks so close. Every game, and so many games even this weekend for different reasons, play a role. Absolutely loving it.
Yeah, there's just so much to play out, Spide. And let's turn our attention back to last week. That Power Collingwood game, we knew it was going to be something special. I think the Power kind of rested a few the week before against the Blues, mate. They knew they were going to get back on their home deck. They wanted to take on Collingwood. There was a lot of banter between the two teams in the lead up to the game, and it didn't disappoint, mate. It was unbelievable. And how good in that final term was the Collingwood Football Club, and in particular, Jamie Elliott.
I think everyone. I can't take. I just think everybody, coaching, the players. If that was done in the last weekend in September on Saturday at the MCG, everybody walks out of that ground happy. Don't matter the result.
Yeah.
That was the best game I've seen for a long period of time. And I tell people, if you want to see a quarter of football, you go and watch that last quarter, because at one stage, they were so clean and so precise with their handballs, and then they pan up and it's like pouring with rain.
Yeah.
And it's like dry conditions. And
then
Willie Rioli, just under that pressure, kicks a magnificent goal, turns it on its head. And then, as you'd expect, Jamie Elliott takes the mark and says, you know what? I'm not even looking forward. I've been here, done that before. I'm going back. I'll kick this. And just the greatest photo of all time is when he turns to the crowd, and there's, in the photo, I could see 1,000 Port Adelaide fans just, and Jamie Elliott just pumped. It was just a great game of football. Everyone, Pal Pepper was fantastic and didn't have a lot of touches, but showed his strength. And Pendlebury looked like he had all the time in the world. Like, you could talk about it for ages, but I loved every moment of it.
And the Dacos boys lit it up in the last quarter. Yeah. It had everything, Spied. And I think the Power will certainly take a fair bit out of the game as well. But Collingwood, just that belief in each other. And when they have to lift it up a notch, they certainly do it. Now, what about teams lifting it up a notch? I must admit, Spide, I was calling the local footy Saturday afternoon. I thought the old Richmond Tigers, I thought we were in a bit of trouble, mate. 39 points down late in the third quarter to get up and win that game and keep their season alive. Mick Walter, he's just done an amazing job, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has. And look, it's going to be interesting to see what they do at the end of the year, because I think he's won 7 of the last 9 or something. He's on a good wicket at the moment, and the players seem to be responding. They're playing great footy, as you say. To rebound from that, we know Richmond can kick multiple goals very, very quickly, so they were able to do that. So yeah, it was just fantastic to watch. And the Hawks got off to a flight. The Hawks are going to scare teams.
Yeah, I agree.
They're going to be very competitive in the next few years. So Sam Mitchell, and we've said it, most of the year, they're doing the right thing. But, they come out there to play, and they really shocked the Tigers and took a little bit of Richmond to get back. But those teams, when you get on that roll and then you get another one and you get another one and the other team's getting a little bit nervous, that's great to watch. And, that last goal was probably the one bit of individual brilliance you'll ever see.
Yeah, Baker, absolute star, mate. Could be the next captain too. Hey, real biggest loser of the weekend, last weekend for mine. I thought they were ordinary against the Cats the week before. I reckon Essendon, I think they slipped from 4th back to about 10th spot at one stage over the weekend. They need to bounce back in a big way. They've got a couple of winnable games the next couple of weeks, but it's so important, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. And, I just don't think, their players aren't up like they were, a month ago. Stringer had... you watch the first 5 minutes, you think he's on fire. He had 3 touches in 5 minutes, and then suddenly he has, 5 for the rest of the game. 2-minute Peter, they're just missing a little bit, the Bombers. So, for me, I think the Bombers are going to find it pretty tough. But even right now, they've probably exceeded most expectation of Bombers fans even. So for them to be in the 8 was probably a little bit forward thinking on their behalf.
Now, we were talking about the Coleman medal last week, mate. Charlie Curnow, I think he was $1.90 at Palmer Bet. He'll be certainly a hell of a lot shorter now. 10 goals against the West Coast Eagles. He put on a clinic, didn't he?
Yep, and all eyes are going to be on Big Tex Walker, who's the only one who can really beat him.
Yep.
And they played West Coast last round. So you want to load up now, but you got to wait until the last round to put the money in the bank because, as soon as if something happens to Big Tex, you'll see that come down heaps. But Curnow at the moment cannot be beaten. It's only going to be that last round. But for him, I think he was paying $8 for over 7 goals. And that was a pretty good bet, knowing that he was going to be their main forward. No Harry Mackay. He was always going to kick at least 5 or 6 just to get to that 7. It was $8.
Yeah, and when you're playing against a side like West Coast at the moment, their confidence is down. It was a 71-point win. You're right. He's the main focal point. He's in really good nick the last kind of 5 or 6 weeks. So, yeah, that was the way to go. Hey, Demons Crows, I'm unsure about Melbourne, mate. I know they beat Brisbane the week before. It was a pretty solid win late. But I'm not convinced, mate. I reckon they're just so up and down this year, Spide.
And you can't put your finger on it.
No.
You look at them on paper and you think they're a jet. You think they're backline like Stephen May, Lever, these blokes. And then you got through the midfield and Petrarca and Viney was unbelievable over the weekend. Dragged them solely over the line himself. And then, you still got Brayshaw. And then, you got the forwards. Like, it's just sit there and go, why are they inconsistent? They've still got another gear in them. But where is it? We haven't even seen glimpses of it. Nothing compared to what they were like in, 2021 and 2022. Like they just don't know what it is. It's just because they've got the side.
They flick the switch every now and then, which they did in that last kind of quarter against Brisbane the week before. But then maybe, mate, to be honest, are we overselling Brisbane where they're at? I don't know.
Yeah. I just think you look at Melbourne, and probably because they are more household names throughout the whole, we probably do overrate them a little bit. I don't know. It's an interesting argument because you look at them every week and say, gee, they should smash that mob. Look at the side they've got.
Yeah,
and they're missing Oliver, but still I think they've still got another gear to go. But how they get to that gear, I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, right. I tell you what, it's going to be really interesting. And your Saints, mate, that would have been absolutely devastating to lose that game against the Kangaroos. And for 3 quarters, Spide, I must admit, and I was thinking about you, big fella, on my little Sunday arvo. I'm thinking, gee whiz, poor old Spide, what's going through his head right now as we speak?
Absolutely. It was my pick 9 and also my multi that I had all these bets on. That's what it was hard. It was tough to watch. And at the same time, I think they're in the same pattern as Bombers at the moment. They've had a long season. They've got a lot of young kids. They haven't got memory. They haven't got King. They haven't got a little bit of, Steele and Crouch, and these blokes can't keep doing it. These young kids have really stood up and done the best they can, but they just need a little bit more. They're just a fraction off. And when they bring their intensity, it's there. They're just unable to do it for the four quarters at the moment, like they were doing in the first 6 to 8 rounds. So I find their run home really tough.
Yeah, I'm with you, mate. I can't. I reckon Essendon and St Kilda are the 2 that I'm thinking that are going to be under real pressure. And I'm just looking at the ladder now, Spide. So St Kilda and the Giants are half a game clear of the Cats, who are in 8th position. There's 3 teams that have had a draw that are all sitting on 38 points, and you never, ever really see that draw come into play. But it actually is, mate. It's percentage that's separating them. So the Cats are on 121%, Carlton on 116, and Richmond on 99.9. Interesting, Carlton have played West Coast twice. So that's where the draw kind of
is hard.
It is.
Absolutely, because, really percentage is another win. That's what's going to cost teams this year is the percentage. And you don't want to see it come down to that, because that's when you do say, oh, hang on, well, they played West Coast twice and they only played North Melbourne once, and they had to play the top 3 teams at home. But then still, you got to think of, teams playing in, remember that putrid conditions in Alice Springs. You play down in Tassie where there's never a high score. You play up in Darwin where it's hard to kick big scores as well. So there's so many different elements to it. So, it is what it is. but percentage is virtually another 4 points.
Hey, Spide, let's turn our attention to round 20.
Can we just first off?
Well, hang on. What's happened?
Before we get there, just the Brownlow.
Yeah.
I reckon there's some really good bets and some really good value with the Brownlow. Nick Dacos is short price favourite. Struggled over the weekend. Wouldn't have got any votes. Okay, he's tagged.
No,
wouldn't have. Would have got tagged out of it. And I think there's going to be something over the next 3 or 4 weeks with Nick Dacos like that. We know Bulldogs did it. No, Crows did it to him a little while ago. If you can do that, you can keep him quiet. Nick Dacos paying $1 like he's low.
No, $1.35 he's into now, Palmer bet, mate.
What?
Yeah, so
Okay.
Dacos is $1.35. Christian Petrarca's at $6.
There's your value.
Marcus Bonampelli's at $6.50.
That's your value.
Timmy Torino, another 3 goals on the weekend at $13. Spide Lockie Neal at $18. Jordan Dawson 21.
See, my 2 value bets right now would be the Bont. The Bont is in great form.
Yeah,
got 3 over the weekend.
Yep.
He's leading into a final series. He only needs 2 more best on grounds. Dacos quiet. He can win it. The other one is,
I reckon, the Bont.
If you want a bit of value and maybe even just doing him in a top 3 or a top 5, Connor Rosie, Port Adelaide.
Yeah.
Cracking game over the weekend. Will get votes. Has polled all the way through the year.
Yep.
To me, and don't worry, I'm on Connor Rosie already because I reckon he's the value.
Love it, mate. Yeah, I reckon 2 short Dacos for mine.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're kidding yourself. You've missed the boat, to be honest, and it's not worth even taking into bets or multis or whatever now. I reckon he's way too short. Let's turn our attention, though. Does not get much bigger than Friday night. MCG, both these 2 teams have won their last 5 on the jump. Okay, and I'm talking about Collingwood and Carlton, Spide. Head-to-head betting, all thanks to Palmer Bet. The Pies are at $1.36. Carlton at $3.16. That's right, $3.16 at the line betting. Collingwood minus 16.5, $1.90. Carlton plus 16.5, $1.90. Spide. This is going to be a beauty, and I've just got the sneaking suspicion there's a real belief. There's a real belief at Carlton, mate. Their last 5 weeks have been enormous, and Collingwood, they've been up and about. It was another massive game last week against the Power. I just reckon they're cherry ripe for the picking Friday night.
Oh, I tell you what, you're brave to back against Collingwood.
I know.
You are brave because, 80,000 plus. I've tried. I looked at the AFL ticketing system and it said tickets totally exhausted. So it's going to be packed.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's what gives us hope is people thinking exactly like you. The Carlton fans will go there with hope. They'll have something special for Dacos. But for me, look, you just can't go past Collingwood. That game on the weekend, and I know they probably got an extra bruise or 2, and they would have eased them up over the weekend. That game against Port Adelaide was at a different level that anyone's ever played this year. They can go to a different level. We've seen it. Don't get done by all the hype around the Blue Baggers. You're one of those blokes who did the forward running at the start of the year. You're on the bandwagon with the Blues. You're in Lygon Street right now. But for me, I'm sticking with Collingwood. I'm not going to be convinced at the moment.
I reckon they're my little roughie of the weekend. Okay, at a nice price. What are they? $3 at the
$3.40, aren't they?
$3.16 head to head.
Yeah.
That'll do me. I'm just going to have a couple of little multis around that. We turn our attention to Saturday, GMHBA Stadium, 1:45. It's the Cats and the Fremantle Dockers. The Cats are $1.08. Fremantle $8. I must admit, I was disappointed in the Cats against Brisbane last week. They only come and played 1 quarter, and they only just got beaten, to be honest. But they just weren't there. They were non-existent in that first kind of 3 quarters. At the line, minus 42.5, $1.90, plus 42.5 for the Dockers, $1.90. That's a big line. GMHBA, different side, the Cats, aren't they? And the Dockers are just going Spide.
Yeah, at home, absolutely. And I don't think that's a big line at all. If the weather's kind and there's no rain around, I'd be putting that line and multis with goal kickers. As you said, Geelong were disappointing last week. You saw no one in their forward line really stand up and take control. They will at Alphabet Stadium. You see them up and about. Chris Scott too goes into 305 games coached, the most of any Geelong coach of all time. So congratulations to Chris Scott. But yeah, absolutely. But for me, I'd be looking at, Gary Rowan. He loves the home deck. You have all the small forwards just passing it around and mucking around. So Jeremy Cameron's going to find his form again before you get to finals. So me, Geelong easily. They'll cover that line.
Righto. Let's move along to the next game. So Western Bulldogs taking on the Giants at Mars Stadium, Ballarat. Now, the Bulldogs have got a really good record at Mars Stadium. It's a Saturday afternoon. It's wintry kind of football spied. Giants have won their last 5 on the hop. Bulldogs have won 3 out of 5. What are we thinking? Are we thinking that little Mars advantage at that stadium? And I better actually give you the actual pricing. So $1.57 Western Bulldogs, Giants at $2.41. They've won their last 5, and at the line -9.5 for the Bulldogs, $1.90 plus 9.5 for the Giants, $1.90. How can you?
I don't think
against a
Giants. I don't think the Giants are going to be worried about Mars Stadium. They played at Manuka in Canberra last weekend.
Correct.
So it's not going to worry them. It will be. We did watch a game there a few years ago, and it's a lot windier. It does actually. Players aren't used to it because we have stadiums around us. There might be a little bit of swirling wind, but they don't have a real big, a massive wind advantage, really. So the Dogs, look, this is going to be a cracking game. Both of them will be fighting and scrapping, and GWS have been in cracking form, and it's not their big line. It's not, Himmelberg's been playing well. They subbed out Toby, and, all their players are in good form, but it's their whole team. The whole 21 have been playing a really good brand of football, but so is the Dogs. I just think the Dogs got a little bit more strength up forward, and I think their 4 line with Libba and these blokes, and Tom English is in great form as well. So I'm going to stick with the Dogs.
And Mara too. I reckon he's going all right. He's taking his game to a new level as well. Right, so you're sticking with the Dogs at Mars Stadium.
I'm with the Dogs.
Let's go up to Heritage Bank Stadium on the Gold Coast. It's the battle for Spida Everett. Let's be honest. It's the Gold Coast Suns taking on the Brisbane Lions, 14th v 3rd on the ladder. Head-to-head, all thanks to Palmerbet. Gold Coast at $3.57. The Brisbane Lions are at $1.30. And the line betting here, the Gold Coast Suns, plus 21.5, $1.90, minus 21.5, $1.90. I must admit, Spide, I don't know about Brisbane.
What do you know about the Suns? If you say you don't know about Brisbane, what do you reckon of the Suns?
I just reckon the Suns, I know they were disappointing last week. They were good the week before on their home deck against, Brisbane. That little bit of rivalry up there. Can they lift? Can they lift enough and get a big scalp?
Oh, look, they need a lot to go right for him. Kingy at the moment, he isn't getting his hands on it. They're relying on, Lukosius and a couple of small forwards. Even, unfortunately, again, it's just the Rao, the Anderson, the Witts. Took Miller, still a little bit under where he is. But, Brisbane, way too strong. I think they'll really set themselves. I don't think Heritage Bank Stadium for the Suns has got the advantage of a Geelong home ground, a Gabba. I don't think it's got that kind. It did. I reckon it used to. I reckon they've actually lost a little bit of it. So, Brisbane, they'll come down. They haven't beaten Brisbane the last 10 times they've played them. I don't think it's going to change this week. So, I was a fan of the Suns last week, but then I saw the same old. So, stick with the Lions, and they'll cover that line. I think that line's a little bit short too.
Now, Spide, this is a big game, okay? Season defining, to be honest, for both these teams. So I'm talking about Essendon and Sydney, Marvel Stadium, Saturday night football. It is 11th v 12th for the loser. Their season is done. So if you lose on Saturday night, it's as simple as that. You are out. Head-to-head markets, all thanks to Palmerbet, $2 for the Essendon Bombers. Sydney are $1.85. They're the favourites. Now, the line betting really tight, plus 1.5. You're getting nothing there at $1.90. Wow. Sydney minus 1.5, $1.90. Where do you go here, Spide? What are your thought? What's your thought process here?
You look at the games over the weekend, and there was 3 games by under 3 points. So you know what, the line betting could be a bit of value at $1.50.
Yeah, maybe.
Look for me, I think Sydney. The Swans are in really good nick at the moment. All they needed was that little bit of faith and that belief and that run, and they've got that buddy back. Parker, probably one of the best players in the competition for a long period of time. Papley's getting his hand on it. You've got Errol. I think the Bombers are just cooked. I think they'll have a real good crack, but I don't know if they'll be able to play the four quarters out at the intensity the Swans will. I think Sydney have really they would still believe 100% they could make finals, Sydney.
Yeah, I
go,
agree.
you know what? We can play finals. We can win the last 5. Let's just tick 1 week off. Let's worry about it a week at a time, like a lot of clubs say. But this club can actually do it. Let's just get this one. And it doesn't matter if they're down at 3/4 time. They'll still have a belief, and you've seen it in so many of the games. You know what? We can still win this. It's not over until the final siren. So for me, I reckon Sydney.
Yeah, I'm with you. I've been really disappointed with this in the last couple of weeks. Hey, this game's going to be a belter. It's a showdown. Crows taking on the Power. Saturday night, 7:40 p.m. at the Adelaide Oval. It is going to be an absolute ripper. Head-to-head markets, $2.93 for the Crows. Port Adelaide, $1.41. The line betting, all thanks to Palmerbet here, has Adelaide at plus 17.5, $1.90. Port Adelaide minus 17.5, $1.90. Spide, sometimes coming off the back of a really big contest against a good team last week in Collingwood, it can be a little bit deflating. It's hard to kind of get yourself up again. Is this a danger game?
Well, I reckon if it was against North Melbourne or somebody, yes. Not when it's a showdown.
Yeah.
Not when the hype around a showdown. You've got to get yourself up for a showdown. And, the big question is who does go in a little bit sore? Charlie Dixon was really hobbling at the end of the game last week. So that's going to be a big one for them. For Adelaide, Tex Walker really turned it on in the last quarter. Kicked 3 in the last quarter. I like it. I reckon it's going to be a real good showdown. And you're right. If mentally you give everything last week, now you've got to try and give everything mentally again. It would be tough for Port Adelaide. But I think Adelaide's just been off the boil a little bit as well. I think Port Adelaide have just got a little bit more to offer. Their forwards are just, that Pal Pepper, I find him just astonishing. I find him just got, he only needs 12 or 13 possessions and he does something with them every time. So it'll be great. And the only hard thing is, don't forget too, Adelaide will say, this is our grand final. We win a showdown. We've got to get something out of this year. Let's beat Port Adelaide, who are definitely playing finals. Let's give it everything this weekend. Let's really match ourselves against the side that should be playing in the grand final. But for me, I'm going to stick with Port Adelaide.
They're calling him Power Pressure, mate. Gary Lyon and the boys. I loved it when I saw that.
Is he? Oh, the big bald nut. I love it.
Power Pressure. Hey, and well, interesting to know, though, the Power, they've lost their last 2. So they're going for 3 on the bounce. Defeat Carlton, Collingwood. So there's going to be a little bit of pressure there. And Adelaide have only won 1 out of their last 5. So they really have dropped the bundle. Hey, Spide, I hate to go from one big game to another, but Sunday, Marvel Stadium, it is Hawthorn 16th taking on St Kilda 6th.
What are the odds?
Another season-defining game here for mine. Hawks, $2.07 Spide. Saints, $1.79. At the line, Hawthorn plus 3.5, $1.90. St Kilda minus 3.5, $1.90. Mate, honestly, you'd have to be a nervous, edgy individual heading into this game this weekend.
Well, the guys and girls at Palmerbet have put this clearly together on ladder positions, not results.
Yeah.
Because I think the Hawks have been great last few weeks.
So
last weekend.
Odds wrong way round?
Yeah, I do. I'm going to go with Hawks. As much as it hurts me, I know. I am tipping to get 9. I got 8 last weekend, and no longer am I going with my heart like I did with the Suns. I learned from that, and I'm going to bet seriously and say this is why. Because, look, the Hawks' pressure was fantastic. They've got a really good team. Sicily back in can really control defensively. They can run. I reckon the Saints probably just a little bit fragile up forward. They just haven't got the ability to, they haven't got people to straighten them up. We said they need their big forwards back in there. And through the midfield, if the Hawks, we've said it all year, if the Hawks can kick the first goal or be in it in the first 10 minutes, they'll go on for the next hour and a half.
Yep.
It's so important. We know the first 10 minutes of the game is important, the first 5 minutes, but it's always important against Hawthorn. If they kick the first 2 and they can kick the first goal in 30 seconds, and then they are out.
Yep.
So I'm going to stick with the Hawks as hard as it is.
Gee whiz, I love it, mate. Absolutely. But this is great. This is what it's all about, mate. You're just picking with the head. You're not picking with the heart, big fella. You're trying to get
I'm
the
picking
palm
to
of the
win.
followers.
I'm picking to win.
I love it. Hey, Sunday, 3:20 p.m., Melbourne and the Tigers at the MCG. It's 10th v 4th. The Tigers, $2.62, Melbourne at $1.50. So the Demons, to be honest, have a chance to snuff the Tigers out for season 2023. At the line, Richmond plus 12.5, $1.90. Melbourne minus 12.5, $1.90. This is game on. This is what it's all about. These are the big games. We're going to find out a bit about Melbourne, and we're going to find out a bit about the Tigers, aren't we, Spide?
Absolutely. This is a cracker. And, you saw what Richmond did. We've mentioned it, 39 points down, got up by a point. The hard running of, some of their players, and still some of their players are a little bit down too. So they've still got a little bit of improvement. Melbourne, on the other hand, we say they're going, but they've got another gear. Will they find that other gear? Will they be able to get over the line? I think I'm going Melbourne. I reckon their defence, Melbourne, are probably a little bit smart. So they'll understand what Richmond's going to try and do. They've got the ability to be able to drop off and not give Richmond that open space to be able to run into. So for me, and through the middle, the only thing that's going to hurt you is Richmond's rebound. Is it too quick? Is Melbourne able to stop that rebound? And I reckon they will. I'm going to stick with Melbourne.
I'll be sticking with the Tigers, big fella.
Oh, here he is. See, sometimes is that with your heart or is that with your brain?
No, I reckon there's a bit of belief at the moment, and I think they're really enjoying what Min's doing, and I reckon they're going all right, the Tigers. So they're playing like they've got nothing to lose.
Used to.
Yeah, so they're just having a crack, I reckon, and
you will see a couple of upsets, no doubt, over the next 5 weeks because there's a couple of teams that they know they're going to make.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, absolutely, mate. Hey, final game. This is an interesting one too, Sport. It's 18th v 17th on the ladder, so it's the battle for the wooden spoon. And I must admit, I had to double check and I had to have a look at this again. So it's played over at Optus Stadium in Perth.
Yeah.
4:40 p.m. kickoff. West Coast taking on the North Melbourne Kangaroos. West Coast at $2.10. North Melbourne are our favourites, all thanks to Palmerbet, at $1.77 on the road.
Don't tell me Clarko's coming back to coach this one.
Mate, he's back. He is back.
Oh, he's ripped it off Rats.
He's back for this game, mate.
You can't do that.
I think they're going back because remember the Kangaroos beat the Dockers over in Perth in about round 2 or 3.
Yeah. Well, I think West Coast's last win was round 2 and North Melbourne's round 3, or vice versa. So somebody's got the jump.
I'll tell you what, so at the line betting, West Coast plus 4.5, $1.90, North Melbourne minus 4.5, $1.90. Come on, mate. You can't win. I reckon West Coast might be an absolute special here, big fella, on their home deck.
Well, I'll tell you, what I want to see? I want to see a shootout between Larkey and Oscar Allen. Yes. The two big forwards kicking a bag. The old Dunstall and Lockett days. Just feed them all day and have one kicking 13 and one kicking 15. We don't care because this is their grand final. Both teams' grand final. It would be a draw. I'd put $5 on for a draw at $51, but for me, I'm going with Eagles. I reckon the Eagles will win this. I reckon they're a shoo-in as well over there. It's going to be a big game. They've got some great players, and I'm sticking with the Eagles.
Righto, you are sticking with the West Coast Eagles. I'm with you. $2.10. I reckon that is great value head-to-head to get the job done. They've had a ranked season. We all know that. And I think...
Give them something to smile about. I tell you what, whoever wins this should celebrate like it is a grand final. If I'm North Melbourne and I win this, drink the aeroplane dry on the way home. Give it everything you've got.
Go hard or go home, big fella.
Absolutely.
Hey, listen, let's have a look. 8 out of 9 last week, mate. You were stiff. Suns let you down, mate. Your Gold Coast Suns, of course, where you live. Yeah. We're the king up there, mate. You're the unofficial mayor, so they've let you down. Continue the form, all to kick 2 goals. So Shea Bolton kicked 1-2. Levi Casbolt 1 straight. Petrarca kicked 2 behinds. Tommy Papley, he saluted for 2 straight.
Yeah. So goal kicking's let me down.
Goal kicking's let you down. They've all had opportunity. All on the line. Bulldogs, Tigers, Pies, the Demons all at the line. You went 1 from 4 there, mate.
But
like-
3 out of 4 won. They just didn't get there at the line.
Didn't get there at the line. So listen, all thanks to the Palmer Bet followers. Download the app, gamble responsibly, do it in a responsibly manner. Where we going? What are we doing? Let's go with the pick 9 first, Spide.
Yeah, pick 9. I'm going to start with, I'm going Collingwood, taking on an end of the Cats.
Yep.
The Dogs will get up. The
Yep.
Lions will get up.
Yep.
Sydney over the Bombers. Port
Yep.
Adelaide in the showdown. The Hawks over the Saints.
Unbelievable.
Melbourne over the Tigers. And Eagles at home.
49.39, so virtually $50, mate. That's good value for the pick 9. That is
Absolutely.
huge. Huge.
Yeah,
Right,
I like
what
that.
else? What else you got for the Palmer
Oh,
Bet?
I got 2 little multis. I love the goal kicking ones, and I love. I'm calling this too close to call.
Yeah.
So these are the ones that people haven't got those to say this is what I'm calling, but I'm calling Sydney to defeat the Bombers. So Sydney.
Yep.
Into Hawthorn to beat the Saints.
Yep.
Into West Coast to beat North. So just the 3-legger.
Bit of value here, mate. $7.62 here, big fella.
Yep.
If you
I
don't
like
mind.
that.
And
Too
they're all
close to call.
toss of the coin games. That's good.
Absolutely. I'll call them.
Right. What about your goal kicking, mate? What do you got
Yeah.
for us in the goal kicking stakes?
It's called the big day out. And
The
who's
big
having
day.
the big day out? Yep. To kick 3+. You can take it 2+, but 2+, yeah, I'd go 3. Jeremy Cameron, 3
Yeah.
at home.
He's due.
Yep. Joe Danaher, Heritage Bank Stadium against the Suns, overdue.
Yep.
Larkey, North Melbourne,
Yep. Against West Coast.
2. Yep. And the little roughie, but he will kick a bag before he says goodbye at the end of the year, Buddy Franklin.
Oh, wowzers.
Against the Bombers.
Wowzers.
He loves the Bombers.
Boy, that's going to be about $36.
There you go.
All to kick 3+,
And you could change Larkey for Oscar Allen if you're a West Coast fan.
which would be similar.
Yeah, same price.
Good work, mate. I love it.
There we go.
Absolutely love it. Now, gamble responsibly. That is the key message. And always think about what you're actually really gambling with. Hey, Spide, we are going to know so much at the end of 20, aren't we? You know, there's going to be a couple of teams we're going to say bye-bye to. Your season is done. Go and book your Bali little footy trip and or Las Vegas and have a rest up for the next 6 months.
Well, we know one thing. We will be back next week to have a look at, with only 4 weeks to go, and you will be on your footy trip. You are going to be in Bali. So you'll be on the Bing Tangs and the Bing Tang t-shirt. We expect to see that.
I'll get actually, what footy side do you want me in, mate? I'll get one of those nice little footy jumpers or the footy singlets. They
got the Bali Geckos over there. They'll be getting ready for the AFL Asian Championships, which is in around about 5 or 6 weeks. I just did a shout out to the Singapore Wombats who are going to be playing in that as well.
We need to get a part of that, mate. That's what we need to do, fella.
Absolutely. Palmer Bet need to put in an AFL side into the...
Let's do it. Let's do it.
That's a bit of us.
Hey, listen, mate, have a great week, big fella. And as I always say, gamble responsibly. Download the Palmer Bet app. Get involved with us as well. And we'll talk next week, buddy.
Absolutely. Enjoy. Good luck over the weekend.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.